So we are in the subsection where Bhagwan Shankaracharya is telling us that there is no plurality at all, because this is Advaita Vedanta. When we say Advaita, no Dvaita at all. And that is the topic of this section from verse 330 to 338. And he says, Yajur Shruti. So Yajur Veda also says, I mean, this is what the Vedas say. It's not just Yajur Veda. All Vedas, all Shrutis are saying the same thing, including Bhagavad Gita. So the one who realizes that oneness while living, then after death also there is only one. So this is the first verse. He who is completely aloof, 330 verse. Aloof means while living only he has realized that he is alone. And he is alone, not separate from the entire universe, but he is just one with the entire universe. That is the realization. Then Videha, after the body is dropped, he will remain as one. So a Jivan Mukta Purusha remains as one while living, and then after death also he will never come back into this world of plurality. Means there will be no more births, future births for him. A person who realizes in this life but is not a Jivan Mukta, he will have his vasana. So he will have his angers, you know, those sort of emotions and all he will emote, but he will also not get reborn after death. So there will be Videha Mukti. For a Jivan Mukti, what happens is in this life itself he's totally freed. So there is no no emotions that are disturbing him at all. And so next he goes on to say, Yada Kada, if at all the wise man recognizes recognize even the least difference in the infinite Brahman, if he can, which is not a possibility, but if he does, then it will become a source of fear, because fear arises out of otherness. Fear always, that is the first cause of fear, is somebody else is there other than me, and then that person could hurt me or whatever. So that fear will remain. If that, as long as that otherness is there, the fear will remain. As long as there is identification with the body, the fear will remain, because what can happen to my body? Because things happen to the body only. They don't, nothing happens to the jiva. Jiva doesn't get COVID. Who gets COVID is the body, but the jiva gets scared because the jiva thinks that I am the body. So if body got COVID, that means I got COVID. I got whatever. So that identification with the body brings fear. It brings fear. So the less identified you are, that not having fear does not mean not taking precaution. Okay. So you take the precaution, but don't have the fear that anything will happen to you, quote unquote, capital YOU, which is the infinite Brahman. So nothing can actually touch you. But when that you is identified with the body, then all the things will keep happening. So he who identifies himself with the objective universe, and objective universe includes body. I've always told you that. That is the most difficult part to grasp, is that how is my body the world? Because the world is over there. This is how it's understood, and it's very easy to understand. The world is over there and I am over here. So how come you're saying that this body which I am is the world? That becomes very difficult. So that is to be understood. That is the fact that the body also comes under the gamut of world. In chapter 13, what is known as Kshetra. Kshetra, body is Kshetra. It is not Kshetrajna. Body is Kshetra. And he says, it has been denied by hundreds of Shrutis, not just one Shruti. Shruti, Smriti, Bhagavad Gita, any text you read, this objective universe has been told to be an illusion. Illusion, that which changes in the 3 periods of time. We have seen the world change constantly, and that's why it is not really real. Not that it is not real in the sense that I don't experience it. Of course you experience it. When there is cold, you will feel cold. In the hot, you will feel hot. All those experiences will be there. but they are all passing, they are fleeting, they don't stay. If they were to stay permanently, then that would be real. If my body were to be constantly hot, constantly, no matter what, even if I'm on the North Pole, if my body is hot, then that is real. But it's not. You don't see that, right? So that's why that is has to be understood between mithya, illusion, illusory, and real, really real. Now we go further. 333. I'm on 333. सत्याभिसन्धानरतो विमुक्तः महत्त्वमात्मीयमुपैति नित्यं मिथ्याभिसन्धानरतस्तु नश्येत् दृष्टं तद्यदचोरचोरयोः. He who devotes himself to meditation on the reality and is free from nascence attains to the eternal glory of the Atman. But he who dwells on the unreal is destroyed. That this is so illustrated in the case of one who is not a thief and one who is a thief. So a difference between example of thief and not being a thief is given. But what is being said is one who devotes himself to the meditation on the reality. Now, this should not be, of course, if it is a sannyasin and he has left the world, at our level, what I have explained as regards to Adhyatma Nitya, this is what it means. See, at our level, we can't just sit and meditate on the reality whole day. We've got a job to do. We've got a family. We've got, things to do. So when it's said here, meditation, of course, it is possible, like Raman Maharshi. He just left everything and went, and then he can meditate on the reality 24/7. Tapon Maharaj, they could do it. But at our level, what you take it as is the first basic is at least please read every day a little bit of the scriptures, whichever text that you feel like. Okay, there is no compulsion. So if you want to read a couple verses from the Bhagavad Gita, if you want to read a couple verses from Vivekachudamani, Atmabodh, for even Tattvabodh reading is like Shruti only. So that part has to be done. The second part of Adhyatma Nitya is to bring in God somehow in every single experience of your life. So you do your job. We are not saying leave the job and think of God, but in that job, which is your own job, don't try going looking for a special job to think about. In your own job, if you can bring God in there somewhere, that is meditation on the reality. That will become at our level. Huh? Actually, meditation that's higher meditation, but we are not, it is not possible for all of us. We've got kids, we've got jobs, we've got a family to look after. So that is not possible. But if we can do that, that's why Bhagavan, that word Adhyatma Nitya is there. Even Adhyatma Nityatvam in 16, it will come. So this is what it is. And when we, get into the habit, first it may be a forced thing to do, saying thank you, Lord. But you know what? As your mind purifies, you will actually see the hand of God in everything. You will actually see it, and then it will come automatically. Oh, thank you, Lord. This thing happened. So that way, so that practice has to begin. Okay, and this is what he is free from nascence, ignorance. What is the ignorance? Ignorance is thinking that the world is real. That is ignorance. Thinking that there is happiness in the world, that is ignorance. Thinking that I am the body, thinking that I will die, thinking that it's only thought only. I will die, I will get COVID, something will happen to me. All is in thought. So all these thoughts belong to the realm of ignorance. So if we keep on doing Adhyatma Nitya, if we keep on bringing God in every experience of our life, then we will attain to the eternal glory of Atman, not in this life, but we are on the way. We are on the train or the plane to reality. At least let's get on the train. Let's not stop at the station. Let's get on the train or the plane. And this is the way to get on the ride. You see? And then someday, in some future birth, you will reach. But the one who dwells on the unreal, the universe is destroyed. This destruction is not in any way to be understood as a physical destruction, or he will lose all his money, or he will have no family. No, no. On the contrary, they will be so material, if they're working that hard, they will be very rich also and everything. No, destroyed means he will be in like the hamster. He'll be going round and round in the cycle of birth and death. That destruction, not a physical destruction. Okay, there's nothing physical that is happening. So what happens is, once I think that this world is real, once I think the happiness is in the world, then I will keep on dwelling on it. Now, how do I get that happiness from this world? And if I keep on doing that, then I'm pushing God away all the time, and that will take me into this cycle of birth and death. So that is what Bhagwan is saying here. So mithya bhi sandhana astut nashe, like mithya, what he is dwelling upon is mithya. So how can he get something real by dwelling on something which is unreal? You can't. So you will be destroyed. I've underlined 2 lines on the next page. It is 1, 2, maybe 3rd paragraph in this thing. He is pushed into more and more confusions and sorrows, passions and lusts, together creating for himself a painful life of tensions, stresses, and strains. This is what Gurudev writes for the one who is dwelling on the objective universe. Okay, so that is what he will do. He will think all that is real. If somebody says something to him, that is real. So now I'm hurt. Somebody praises me, that is also real. Now I'm very happy. I'm on the top of the world. And he'll be keeping going up and down. The next verse is, I'm going to read it in prose order. Yatihi asat anusandhi bandhetum vihaya swayam ayam aham asmi iti atmadrashtaiva tishthet sukhayati nano nishtha brahmani swanubhutya harati param avidya karya dukkha dukkham pratitam. The sadhaka should give up dwelling on the unreal, which causes bondage. Just now I told you, the one who dwells on that objective universe is going to continue in the cycle of birth and death. That is the bondage. It is not, nobody is tying us down here, don't do this, don't do that, nothing of that sort. The bondage is that birth and death cycle, and should always fix his thoughts on the Atman as this I myself am. This aham, ayam aham asmi iti. This is very important words. I am that. I am that. Aham brahmasmi. That is what this is. So this is the meditation on the reality that he talked about in the previous verse. And this meditation is a very high type of meditation. So the steps to that is to bring in God in every. Adhyatma Nitya is the way to that Aham Brahmasmi. Goal is Aham Brahmasmi. Goal is always Aham Brahmasmi. Okay. I am Atma Brahma, or Aham Brahmasmi. How do I reach that goal? Is through Adhyatma Nitya. That's why Bhagwan has said in Gita, Adhyatma Nitya Vinivritta Kamaha. Constantly think of the Lord, and Vinivritta Kama, desires, get away from desires. Why are the desires arising? Because I think there is happiness in the world. Everybody desires only happiness. Different things, but ultimate desire is happiness. So this is what he's saying. Should always fix his thoughts on the Atman as this I myself am. For steadfastness in Brahman gained through the realization, for steadfastness in Brahman gained through the realization of one's identity with it gives rise to bliss and thoroughly removes the misery born of nascence which one experiences in the state of ignorance. So in a state of ignorance, and I told you what is ignorance, I am the body, there will only be misery, because this body constantly something or the other will be happening. Today there'll be headache, tomorrow there'll be stomach ache, tomorrow there'll be some other ache. All kinds of things will happen to the body. And the one who is identified and established in the body thinks, oh, this is happening to me. I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. So there will be, what happens is, generally we live quite happy lives, so it is hard to believe this. It's very hard to believe. Sant Ramdas actually in his Manache Shlok, and I think I've told you this before. He says that even the fetus in the womb is very, very, it's very troublesome for the fetus. So don't become a fetus. That's what he's saying. Means don't take birth, because that is very painful, but we don't remember the pain. That is the problem. So here, this is why he said, Yatihi sadhaka. Yatihi, the one who is striving. Yati, the word yati means the one who is striving. And sadhaka is a seeker. So for us, okay, we are seekers. So bish anusandim bandha hetu vihaya. Like if anusandhana is to meditate, anusandhana is to think. So this, if we can meditate on the fact, aham, ayam, aham, asmi iti, means I am that, I am that. So remind yourselves, remind you. I've told you this before also, because this is all repeating, but you know, when I get hurt, that is when to remind yourself, I'm not the ego. The ego is hurt. I'm somebody else. So that way you get rid. So that way, try and get more and more established in Brahman. The more established you are in the body, there will be more miseries. There is no ifs and buts about that. Okay, this is what he's saying. Nanu nishtha brahmani, the nishtha, firm abidance. Nishtha stha dhatu, to stay. Nishtha comes from the stha dhatu, which stha means to stay. We saw the word ashwatha, the one which does not stay same tomorrow. Ashwatha we saw in chapter 15. So this nishtha means you stay with Brahman, means you get firm abidance in Brahman. We have our firm abidance in the body right now. So loosen that abidance by gaining this. And how do I do it? Adhyatma Nitya. That's why the weekly classes are recommended. Satsang is recommended. All these things are recommended. Okay. Then he comes to last line, the peace that passeth all understanding. Passeth all understanding means this peace is beyond the intellect. You cannot understand, you cannot realize Brahman through the intellect. So you will be at peace because you have identified with that Ananda. So there will be constant peace. Bhayānusandhi parivardhayet phalam durvasanameva tatastathodhikam nyatva vivekaihi paririthya bhahyam swatmanusandhi vidadhita nityam. Constant contemplation upon the external objects will only gather up its fruits, that is, enhancing the evil propensities which grow from bad to worse. Knowing this, through discrimination, one should leave the thoughts of external objects and constantly apply oneself to meditation on the self. So constant contemplation upon external objects happens because I think my happiness is there. There's no other reason. There's no other reason. If you even just get established in the fact that my happiness is not in the object, my happiness is with me and it's a choice. See, that's what I'm reading in quite a few messages or books. I think happiness is a choice. Every message that is coming is you can choose to be happy or you can choose to be miserable. It's up to you. It is not in the object. It can't be. It never was. It never is. It never will be. So I can choose to be happy in spite of the object, in spite of the person, in spite of the situation. I can choose to be happy. That choice is always with me. That's why Gurudev has said, don't put the key of your happiness in somebody else's pocket. Because you see, when that object is not there, I am unhappy. So where is the key of my happy? It is in that object. I put it there. I put it in the situation. If it is not sunny, then I don't go for a walk. So that should not happen. This is Bhaya-nusandhi. This is Anusandhan you're doing on the Bhaya object, Bhaya, external objects, which are Mithya. So then the result, Phalam result, what will be the result? Creating more and more vasanas. See, enhancing the evil propensities. Please do not think evil as something bad. Evil in Vedanta is to get more vasanas. even if you are collecting good vasanas, in the ultimate analysis, it is evil. Why? Because good vasanas are also going to give you a birth. That doesn't mean you don't do good. Okay, you do good and you give up the doership. That is what it is. Bad though is not even, as when we are walking on the spiritual path, purity of motive we have seen. Purity of motive should be there in whatever we do. So if we do and something wrong comes as a result of that, at least your motives should be always pure. So if your motive is pure, then if that result comes, you will accept, oh my God, I did it with good intentions, but now something bad happened out of this. Now what to do? Maybe I'm cooking with real good intentions, but I forget that I put salt and I put double salt. Now what to do? Right? My intention was not to purposely put double salt in or not put salt at all. It was not my intention. So intention always has to be pure. That purity of intention, extremely important. So this evil propensities is you're creating more and more vasanas. We have seen the cycle, that object will give me happiness. Now I want that object. Now either I get it or I don't get it. If I don't get it, I run after it even more. If I get it, I'm like, okay, I got only this much. Now next time I want something more. Always. So that is the evil. Evil here should not be taken in the literal sense that something bad. But in Vedanta, any kind of vasanas that we develop or we allow them to be formed is evil for us, because you are putting you're starting to do a blueprint for your next life. Okay, already there are so many blueprints, God knows how many there are. So at least in this life now we have come into this knowledge, then at least from today onwards, let's try not to be like that. Okay, so this is which grow from bad to worse. Bad to worse is more and more vasanas. Okay, bad to worse is, the more the vasanas, the more births you're going to have to take, because you will have to exhaust those vasanas. Don't think that I will create the vasanas and then what? Who cares? No, those vasanas have to be fructified. They will fructify and they have to be experienced. Prarabdha karma is that. Prarabdha karma can only go away with experience. Sanchita and Agami karma goes with knowledge, but Prarabdha karma cannot go with knowledge. So even if we self-realize right now at this moment, the Prarabdha of the body will keep going on. Okay, and that bad to worse is not only that we have to experience this Prarabdha karma, but all this we are getting more and more and more Sanchita, we are accumulating. Chidhatu, we are accumulating more and more Sanchita karma, which will someday it is going to fructify and someday it is going to push you to take birth. And then we don't know what kind of birth it will be. So Jnatva Vivekaihi, discriminate. That Viveka is the first what qualification for a seeker, right? Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampati, Mumukshutva. So Viveka is the first. So discriminate between the real and the unreal, which is the highest discrimination. Okay, at least at our level, let's discriminate between what is good and Shreya Praya Viveka. That's where we have to start. The lowest is Shreya Praya, what is good for me and what is pleasing to me, pleasurable to me. So even there I'm giving you a leeway. 100%, even I can't. So 100% we can't do Shreya. So do 80 Shreya and 20 Praya you do. Let the mind, it's okay. The mind wants to do something. It's okay. Let it do. But 80-20 it should be. It shouldn't be 20 Praya and 80 20 Shreya and 80 Praya. It shouldn't be like that. Okay. So 80-20 rule we can try to follow. Try it. Okay. It's not easy, but let's try. Parihritya bhayam. So one should leave the thoughts of external objects. So at least 80% of the time, let's leave. Sometimes, you come home and then you forget about it also. You get caught up in your own daily routine and then you forget. You see something, you're walking in the mall, you see something and you like it and you're contemplating buying it and all. That I have found even in my case, what I generally tend to do is I'll say, okay, I'm coming back here next week. So I'm going to not buy it today. And let me see how much I agitate over it. Most of the time I find I come home and I forget. And I go the next week and I've forgotten. And then I come on, wait a minute, this week I was again supposed to go revisit that object and pick it up. I have completely forgotten. So push it, like that's what they say with anger and all, like you're angry and you want to say something, then you push it to bad thoughts, you push it to next day. Like, I want to do this thing, but good thoughts you do right away. But these type of things, they'll help. That's why this discrimination, you can also do it in the form of choice. So you say, okay, today I'll leave it, and then next week let me see what to do about it, right? So you can do that. Work with your mind and see what your mind will agree to. Is your mind saying, no, this won't be there next week and all that, and I like it so much or whatever? Work with your mind. Don't fight with the mind. Tame it. So one should leave the thoughts of external and constantly apply oneself to meditation on the self. At our level, meditation on the self is Adhyatma Nitya, like I said, okay? Because we do not have the choice to just sit whole day and meditate on the reality. That choice is not there. Don't stress over it. You have your jobs, you have your work, but Adhyatma Nitya can always be done. Okay, little bit of reading you can. Nobody can say I don't even have 5 minutes in my day. I'm so busy that I don't have 5 minutes to read like one verse of the Bhagavad Gita or something. So that much time we have to take, even when we are busy. Of course, at my stage, or I'm retired and all that. But those who are working, take 5-10 minutes off just for yourself. Stay with yourself. Stay quietly. Watch your mind. Just that will help reduce rajas and increase sattva. Just sit quietly for 5 minutes, that sort of thing. Baye niruddhe manasa prasannata mana prasade paramatma darshanam tasmin sudrishte bhavabandhanashah bahir nirodha padavi vimuktehe. When the objective world is shut out, the mind becomes quiet, and in the quiet mind arises the vision of the Paramatman. When that is perfectly realized, the chain of births and deaths is broken. Hence, the shutting out of the external world is the initial step for reaching liberation. Shutting out of the external world includes Dhamma and Shama. These two words we have heard. Here is not used, but we have heard this word since Tattva Bodha. So Dhamma is control of the sense organs and Shama is control of the mind. Dhamma is defined as the ability to not allow the sense or objects to come in the mind. Okay, this is what it is. Bahye niruddhe manasa prasannata. So bahye niruddhe manasa. The external world is not allowed to come inside the mind. That is Dhamma. And there are two things you can do. Either you don't allow anything to come inside your mind, because physically nothing is entering the mind, it's only in the thought, or you don't allow the mind to go out. That is Shama. Shama is the ability to not allow the mind to go out. The mind is going out to the sense organs. Okay, and this Shama is more important than Dhamma. Reason being, Dhamma is on the sense organs. One thing, they are cursed to go outwards. They have, like, if the eyes are open, they will see color and form. The ears, they will hear sound. What to do? You can't, just plug your ears and close your eyes, and you can't do that. So things will enter, but the mind, and you can, if you shut your eyes, you can stop color and form going in. Okay, but the mind, even though you shut your eyes, the mind can keep thinking of those objects. So the more important is Shama, not letting the mind go out. Now, not letting the mind go out, sort of, you might feel it's like controlling the mind. This control has to be exercised in the form of choice. If you suppress the mind, it will flare up in double, force. One day you will suppress it. So rather than suppress it, You give it a choice, which sublimation, then it will lead to sublim. There are two words, suppression and sublimation. Sublimation is when you sacrifice for a higher altar. You sublimate the mind, you tame it, you work with it. I just give you the example. You see something, you like it, because it actually happened to me. That's why I'm giving you the example. I went to superstore. I tried on the outfit, everything. And I said, and the other thing which I always ask myself, Jaya, do you really need this? Now, anything in my life, honestly, I don't need, because I have, I don't go out now with COVID. There's not, where is it? No. So the answer definitely came up. No, I don't need it. But you know what? It's nice. I like it. I want it. And that's when I said, okay, we're going to leave this here. We're going to come back next week and we'll revisit this item. And next week I'd completely forgotten that. Next week I came, I'm like, oh, so, and I'm like, that means it wasn't that important to me. So choice, work with the mind, let it try to, it will run out, but try to give it choices. Okay, this is, and why should this be done? Then manasa prasannata will come, peace. Prasannata comes from the word prasada. Prasada is that, when we get at the temple, something sweet we eat and then we feel very happy. So prasannata of the mind is extremely important. Prasannata means quietude of the mind, peace of the mind. Only in a peaceful mind can knowledge arise. That's why he says, Mana prasade paramatma darshanam. It's not a physical darshan. Darshan is to see, but it's not a physical seeing, but the knowledge will arise in a quiet mind. The knowledge arises. See, the technical explanation of that is the mind is nothing but the supreme reality. Okay? It is the substratum, it is the supreme reality, but there are so many thoughts that are going through the mind that substratum is hidden. We don't see it. It's the best example is a movie. So when you are seeing all the actors and actresses role playing on the screen, who remembers the screen? You think anybody thinks, oh, there is a screen behind this thing that is happening? No, we get so caught up in that film, we forget the screen until the thing goes blank and there's, oh, there is the screen now, right? So that is also same thing is happening with the mind. That the thoughts are so many that we miss the substratum. And there can be peaceful thoughts also, but most of the time we have agitating thoughts, like this objects, when the object of, will I get it, will it be there, no, I should have picked it up, all this kind of agitating thoughts are there. Those should be avoided. Those at least should be avoided. And the one way of avoiding that thought is to know that if it is meant for you, you'll get it. You'll get it. If it's destined for you, you'll get it. So that is one way. But whatever way that you feel comfortable, these are the ways that I have used, I still use. So do that. This is the reason that Paramartha Dash means that substratum you will realize. And why should I realize that substratum? It says, Tasmin sudrushte bhava bandha nashaha. The bondage of sansar will be cut asunder. It will be cut. There will be no more future births. If you realize your own self to be that Atma, that Paramatma, there will be no more future birth. That is the reason. And moksha, I told you, is atyantika dukkha nivrutti. Atyantika dukkha nivrutti. Atyantika means extreme cessation of sorrow. Extreme cessation of sorrow. And the gain of that eternal bliss. Bliss, not happiness. Happiness, which is opposite of sorrow. But bliss is beyond happiness and sorrow. So in this, that's why this mind has to be made quiet. That is the reason. That is the goal. Okay. Bahir nirodha padavi vimuktehe. This is the initial step. See, Dhamma and Shama, very important. That's why they were there in Tattva Bodh, right? Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti starts with Dhamma Shama. It's right there in the beginning. It's for the quietude of the mind. Keep your mind quiet. Always observe your mind, how it is reacting in any situation, and keep it calm. Keep it calm. Try to. Okay. Kapandita san sadasad viveki shruti pramana paramartha darshi janani kuryada satovalambam swapata heto shishuvan mumukshuhu. Where is the man who, being learned, able to discriminate between the real and the unreal, believing the Vedas as authority, fixing his gaze upon the Atman, the supreme reality, and being a seeker after liberation, will, like a child, consciously run after the unreal, which will surely cause his fall. The man, the Pandit word, man who being learned, is not the material education, university education, but this word Pandit is used in the same context which Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 Bhagwan has used. Pandita, realized master. Okay, so because here he says he's able to discriminate between real and unreal, means he has got the highest viveka he has gained. He knows what is real. He knows what is unreal. Now, once he knows that, see, this our one of our Swaminis had told us this. She went for bhiksha, and she was very happy to see that they had made her favorite payasam or kheer or whatever, and she was very happy, looking forward to eat it. But then she said the little child from the family came to her and said, "Swamiji, shall I tell you a secret?" So she says, "Yeah, please do." He says, "I saw a lizard fall into that pot of kheer." She said, "The minute I heard that, do you think I will ever touch that kheer?" Why? Because the discrimination came right away. Right away. She says, "I'm never." So that discrimination, if it comes to real, if I really come to know that this world is unreal, now am I going to run after it? Why are we running? That is why, because somewhere at the back of our mind, I think, nee, this will make me happy. It really does make me happy. I need it. Yeah, I can use it. Another thing the mind does is you don't need it, but you can definitely use it. Then this one, and that's what he's giving, believing the Vedas as a Shruti Pramana. So his discrimination is absolutely correct, because it is as per Shruti. Okay. Paramartha, fixing his gaze upon the Atman, means he is really, Pandit is one who has been established in Atman. Like a Shishu, see the children, when we are children, we have our marbles or dolls and we run after them and all that. But once we grow up, are we not mature enough to give away our dolls or marbles or anything, like this is the example he's giving. So the realized master who has now matured so much to have the perfect discrimination between real and unreal, will he keep running after the unreal? This question is being asked, which will surely cause his fall. And fall again is going into the cycle of birth and death. It is not falling from his pristine position or losing money or losing, no, nothing. This fall is not in the material world at all. The fall is in losing, getting into the cycle of birth and death again. Okay.
Yeah, just one question. Mohini here. It makes sense whatever you are saying, but there are situations when you have situations like position right now, the situations that you didn't have things before, but now you have. And should you enjoy them or not?
Oh, okay. You should enjoy them.
Okay.
Definitely.
Then don't take the doership or enjoyship.
Yeah. You enjoy, you like some kheer, you like something, you want something. It's okay. It's okay. The thing, what you have to remember is, what you have to remember? My happiness is not in that. That you remember. You enjoy. You like some clothes. Okay, now you can afford to buy the clothes. You can afford to buy a car or whatever, house, whatever. You buy. You buy.
Okay, that's
enjoy
good.
Also.
Okay, that's good answer, because usually I have this conflict in my mind many times that if I could live without that so long, why should I go for this?
Very good thought.
But that is not always working right way, as you said, with the mind. because it bursts sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
But don't think that it is because of that you have become happy. That's what I'm telling you. That works also very well. Especially in the kitchen gadgets, that is what I tell myself. Now, so many years I lived without it. Now what should I do with this, right? Why can't I live without this? And then I'm happy about it. Like I have this thing. So, and if you can afford to buy it and you say, oh, okay, so many years I didn't have it and now I have a chance to afford it. Maybe I can afford it. Maybe it's not such a small item. It's a big item. I can afford to get it. So why can't I? Yes, do get it. Do get it. Do get it. I'm not saying don't. Only thing, don't think that if this goes away, I'll
fall apart.
I will follow. Very good. Very good. I've told you, when I was 18, if there was a movie that that was my thought. If I don't see it, life is not worth living. But I was 18. It is a real thought. But I was 18 years old. Okay. And life, if it release on Friday, if I don't see it on Saturday, life is not worth living. That you don't think. Go see it on Saturday. Go see it on Friday. First show. Go see it. If possible, go see it. But don't think that your life is going to fall apart without it if you don't see it. That is the point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question, Jayaji.
Yes.
See, since in the retired mode, it's kind of an obsession it has become. If I don't read or if I don't listen to some kind of satsang, I feel so uneasy. How does that?
That is very good. You must feel uneasy. You must. If you don't read, you must feel uneasy. That's excellent sign. So, you know what I do? I'll tell you what I do. First thing in the morning, I do my reading. I have to prepare for the lecture, right? So if I don't, whole day, so, better. First, after I finish all my first daily morning routine, I sit with my lecture, with my book, my chapter, whatever. I finish reading that. And then I'm like, now I can do whatever that I want to. So we are retired, you're retired, I'm retired. So you have the time. So in the morning, finish your reading. That's it. Then whole day you're free to do whatever you want. You will never feel uneasy.
Thank you.
It's a good thing to feel uneasy if you don't read. I also feel uneasy if I don't read if I don't get a chance. I do feel at night, but sometimes I just can't give the time. So most of the time, when I say, my personal trainer would ask me, how was your weekend? Then I would say it was my kind of a weekend. So what is your kind of a weekend? Where there was no disturbance and I could sit and do my reading as per my discipline. That is my kind of a day. So you must feel uneasy. Let me finish this last verse and then we can, because the next topic I'll start next time. Dehadi sansakti mato na muktihi muktasya dehadya bhimatya bhavaha suptasya no jagaranam na jagratah swapnastayor bhinna gunashrayatvat. There is no liberation for him who is attached to the body, etc. And the liberated man has no identification with his body, etc. The sleeping man is not awake, nor is the waking man asleep, for these two states are contradictory in nature. So liberation for one who is attached to the body, etc., body, mind, intellect, or gross body, subtle body, causal body. Okay, that etc. means gross, subtle, and this thing, because body, etc. means what? So those are the three bodies. And the liberated man has no identification with his body, etc. Okay, so he's this thing. Samarth Ramdas in his Manache Shloka, Verses to the Mind, he says, one verse is that the one who is identified with the body, he cannot expect liberation till the end of the kalpa. Kalpa is 4 yugas. So the 4 yugas will go, but if he keeps identifying himself with the body, there is absolutely no hope of liberation for him. That's why I've always told you, please do not consider yourself as the body. At least consider yourself to be the jiva. To the jiva. You know, like I told that other gentleman, I said, your father, you should tell, please consider yourself as the mind. It is better to consider yourself as the mind than the body. Okay, this is what he's saying. So a realized master has got no identification with the body, whereas an ignorant person is completely identified with the body. As long as you are identified with any of, see, some people are not worried so much about the physical body, but they think they're so intelligent, they've got so much this. So that is identification with the subtle body, subtle mind, subtle body. And then causal body identification is ignorance of my own self. The three, see, for getting rid of identification with the body, karma yoga is to be done. Okay, that will reduce identification body. Identification with the mind will be reduced by bhakti yoga. Bhakti, because the mind is, you know, constantly in love with the Ishta Devata, so constantly think of the Ishta Devata. And Jnana yoga will reduce identification with causal body. So that's why all three you use in little things. So karma yoga you do. That's why one of our Swamijis have given us that 20-20-20 rule. Part of it, you know, karma yoga also you do. Bhakti also you do at the level of the mind, little. And then reading you do every day. So that is jnana. Reading, it's karma, but you're reading, not reading material things, you're reading scriptures. So this way, try to reduce slowly identification with these three bodies. That is the method. Okay, and that is that will take you to liberation. So he says that suptasya no jagarana na jagrata. So the one who is sleeping and the one who is is woken up. So woken up to the real, to the truth. So turiya state. And the one who is sleeping is the ignorant person. Sleeping means not physically sleeping, but sleeping to the fact, or in sleep, what is our thing? I know nothing. That is the thing. I knew nothing. I was fast asleep. So this sleeping in Vedantic parlance is not knowing what his real nature is. That is sleeping, not physically sleeping, but that. And waking is to come to know, oh, I am that real self, and I'm not this body, mind, intellect, body, etc. that Gurudev has written here. So that is what this means. So he says these two are contradictory in nature. Sleeping and waking, even in the physical world, is two different things. So that way, the one who is identified with the body and the one who is not identified with the body, that person is liberated, and this person is not. He is in bondage. Okay, so this is the thing about plurality, and then the spiritual growth. So in the next section, 339 to 348, Bhagwan is going to give us the secret of spiritual growth. It's a very important section for us, because we are trying to grow spiritually. And the measure of spiritual growth, there are a few measures. One definitely is how much at peace your mind is, how much you're shaking. Okay, so all of us, when we hear something, suddenly we do shake. But the thing is how fast you come back into balance. That will tell you your own spiritual. It is a self-analysis. Okay, so how much angry do I get? Do I get upset when I don't get something? Do I get very elated when I get something? All this, when you observe your own mind, you will know, and we'll talk about that.